Shalom Israel, this is Heaven. I wanted to tell you about a dream that I had just a couple of days ago. And this dream was very, very, very important to me. It's still on my mind a lot because it was a dream out of nowhere and unexpected. And it was after I was already having like a weird vibe right before I went to sleep. But I didn't take too much thought into it. Like I did, but not too much. It was like a feeling of doom and feeling like God was upset. And this dream was like an ultimate sign to me. And I believe, any sign that I get can be useful and serve as some sort of help to you, Israel. Not saying, the dream wasn't just for me, but if anyone felt like me or how I was in the dream, then maybe it can help you too. So I'm going to go into the details of the dream that I believe is most important. I dreamed about myself. I was in a room. I was hurt and bitter. In the dream, because this is not my reality, but in my dream, for some reason, I was married, and in the dream, the person I was married to, he left. And in the dream, I was super hurt and bitter over this. And it was like super hard for me to let go. And I don't know, because when I told my mom the dream, she posed a question to me, was it hard for me to let go of him? Or was it hard for me to let go of my anger? And I would say it would be both. But mainly I felt like it was hard for me to let go of him, or mainly him and the situation in general. Just what he did hurt me really bad. And I didn't appreciate that he left. And in the dream, I was super hurt and bitter. My mom was in the room with me and she was trying to talk to me. And this was in the dream. And she was trying to comfort me, give me words of advice and just pretty much telling me in other words to get over it. Not in a rude way, but in a way of it's okay. You can't let this rule your life. You can't let this depress you. You can't, stay stuck in this. You got God and you got to move forward, pretty much. And so, and the dream switched, and it was it switched, but it was the same dream because my thought in my mind was okay, I'm just going to be happy no matter what. And I'm not going to let, whatever he did bother me or affect me. And I'm just going to be happy. So I got on a phone call with someone, and with someone that's close to me in real life. And in the dream, it was me and my sister. We both were talking on the phone to this person. And he was a family member, and he had said, he had told my sister that she was beautiful. For some reason, she looked more beautiful than ever. And he had told me, though, that when he looked at me, he had said that, I don't know what happened to you, though. And we were on video call. And in the dream, I knew, I felt a feeling inside myself, I can control myself. A feeling of, I'm not going to let this bother me. I'm not going to let this make me go astray. I can still be happy. It don't matter what he says. But in a sense, it did highly bother me. And anyways, so we hung up the phone, and my siblings and my mother was sitting there. I'm not sure if my father was in the dream. He could have been. It's a vague memory with that. And my mom was telling me, I could tell, by everyone's eyes, they were gonna, start talking to me, and they did. And it was, starting off, okay, it's okay, or are you okay? Don't be sad about that. They started off with something like that, right? And in a dream, I chose to be angry. I chose to be bitter about it. And I got upset, and this part is going to sound really funny, but I guess it's the point of it. But in a dream, I slapped my own self in the face. And in the dream, I had yelled out that I hate myself. Like I said, that's why I hate myself, or something like that. Or it was something stupid I said. And everybody in the dream, it was unexpected response. I know in real life that if I say anything like that, my family is going to, admonish me and get, tell me the truth. Like, you don't say stuff like that. But in the dream, they had got so angry, and I didn't expect that type of anger. They got so angry, like I was beating everybody up. Like, they got really angry, and just by the words though. And they were like telling me, like, you don't say stuff like that, like, how dare you, type of thing. And my mom had told me to go in the room, and she, I never really experienced her just telling me to go in the room. So I was like, in the dream though, I was so mad I didn't really care. So I just got up and I went in the room. I sat against the wall, closed the door, of course, and I sat against the wall. I was so angry, and everything was just back in my mind again. The situation with whoever my husband was had left, and it was like making me all bitter, and me feeling like, okay, I'm just an ugly person. I'm nobody beautiful or no one to be liked or loved, pretty much. And in the dream, I heard like a big, loud, sparking, crackling sound. And in the dream, it was out the side of the window. So I got up and I looked, and I was like, okay, what was that? It sounded like almost like a noise of lightning, or like a shocking type sound. Anyways, like electricity, I mean. And I looked out and I saw like a string of light in the sky, just in the middle of the sky. It seemed like it was coming from any clouds or anything. And it was just a big stream of light, and it like flashed once or twice, I think like twice or a couple of times. And in the dream, it turned, as far as I'm remembering, the light turned into fire, and the fire spread out and was burning all the mountains. And the fire was so ragingly like strong, like it was covered the mountains where you couldn't really even see it. And the fire was like orangish red, so it seemed like real passionate, fierce, anger there. And in the dream, right after that, loud crackling sounds was coming from the sky, like thunder, like hard rumbling sounds. I can't really explain. I don't even know if it's just thunder. And in the dream, fiery brimstone started to fall from the sky, and it was striking super close to the house, like strike down, like one after another. And I was scared out of my wits, and I started to pray. Like, someone told me to pray sincerely, because at first I was like asking for forgiveness, like, God forgive me, God please forgive me, I'm sorry for what I did, I'm sorry for what I said. But someone like told me, like, be sincere, you need to be sincere in my words, because I didn't feel super sincere in the dream. And I was like, okay, let me just be sincere. So I started praying super hard. In the dream, I started like feeling super regretful, like, okay, please just give me this chance, don't let me die, because I don't want to die right now. And I go to the fire, or get destroyed, because I'm upset and it's not worth it to me. And so it was striking down so close to the home, but it didn't hit it. And like after a while of me repenting, it wasn't right away. It wasn't. After a while of me repenting, it stopped finally. All of it. It just stopped. It vanished. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like grateful to God. And I was so depressed. Like, I was like, why? Why did I get angry? Why was I feeling these ways? And when I thought back on the situation with him, it felt so small. Like, he felt so small in my life. Like it didn't even matter. And I was like, why was I upset at this in the first place? And why did I act this way? Like, everything felt so small. So I came out the room and I decided to repent and pretty much make amends with my family. And I was like, I'm going to tell them what I saw, because in the dream I recorded it. And I was telling them, like, okay, I'm sorry, and I was telling them like a warning, like, don't get upset like this. Don't let anything make you bitter, because when you see, the punishment and the torment close, everything feels so small. When you see the destruction, it don't even matter. It, like, the way I felt in the dream, it just weighed like nothing, like an atom, on a rock. Like, it felt like nothing, And I was like, it weighed nothing on the scales. It didn't matter none to me. All the feelings, all the madness, all the anger, all the brokenheartedness, it just completely vanished. Like, what the freak was I acting this way? And I was just telling them, don't do what I did. Pretty much that this is real. Don't, and I meant like, as in like, God will destroy you for your sins. And this is actually something to take serious. And a weird thing in the dream, real quick, is that I felt God get the most angry. And I'm not saying this is true, like, as in like, because this is a dream, I can't say God got angry, but it was a feeling I had in the dream, that I felt his wrath and his anger the moment I said I hate myself. then that's when I felt the most passionate, like everything, like from everybody, the most anger. And then when I went in the room, that's when I felt the most anger. That's when the fire was burning the mountains, the way it was raging, that's when I felt the most anger, and how the brimstones was striking. Like it was coming at an angle, it wasn't just falling down like straight, it was coming at an angle towards the house, towards me, because I was at the window. And that's where I felt God's anger. And I was like, God, I guess I didn't expect all of that. And in the dream I told them, and the ending of the dream was I had the phone, I believe a phone art camera in my hand, and I was trying to show them the footage, and I was like, where the heck is the footage? And I was like, I know I saved it. But in the dream I was waking up from the dream, and so everything was disappearing, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to give them the proof of what I saw, because if they saw what I saw, they would understand how much fear they should have, how much they shouldn't do this, and I need to show them this. I woke up, saying that to myself, I need to show them, where's the proof? And I'm thinking I still have it on video that I filmed it, only to realize it was a dream, but it felt that real, it's real. And so what I just want to say is, the thing that caught me the most with the dream is something I never took that deep thought into, which is saying I hate myself. I understand the bitterness about someone leaving in your life. I can understand getting over that. Like, I can understand wrath coming on you with that, and how you can go in a deep, dark rabbit hole with that, to bitterness, to anger, to, doing things you should never do. Because some people, they get so deeply mad, they'll go find the person and, unalive them. And some people just get so upset that they, unalive themselves. But I understand that can go down real far. But the thing I did not take thought into was the most thing that I considered tiny, which was self-hate. And I'm just gonna say, Israel, if you have any hate towards yourself, you gotta learn how to forgive your own self. And you have to learn to love yourself truthfully. And I'm just being honest, because I'm not a person to hide. I always had an issue with not liking myself, with hating myself. And I'm saying that that's not a good thing. I'm not saying, now I'm growing out of it. I'm starting to love myself more. And of course it takes time, it takes training, it takes, time. But I'm better than I used to be. And Israel, I'm only saying this for a learning lesson. This is not for anything else. And this is just merely myself. Like, it wasn't nobody else in my life. It's literally, I just had a problem with hating myself. I can't explain it. Like, I felt like I was never good enough. I felt like anything I did, I would never succeed at anything. I was too dumb to learn anything. Don't ask me where I learned this, because my parents and my family always were the inspiration in my life. And they were always like leaders and role models, in a sense of always believing, always having faith, always, striving towards whatever direction they would choose to go in. And I mean, like, whether it's business or anything else, anything, and my parents were very hard on telling me, like, you can do anything you want and be successful as long as you got God, but myself, don't ask me where I got it from, to where I felt like I was too dumb to learn anything. I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough. Everybody was better than me, and I'm pretty much just the dumb one, I guess. And my only thought can be, Israel, and this is what you'll have to watch with your kids and your children, your younger siblings, is TV. That's the only thing I can think that taught me that way. Because when I watched TV and how we were displayed on TV as black people, we were displayed as the dumb ones. On cartoons, we are displayed as the ones that we don't know anything, and everyone else of every other race, learned everything before us. They already know, and they're pretty much teaching us, and we're just the dumb ones. They displayed us like, if we were smart in the cartoons, it was like we were still dumb. We acted whitewashed, or we acted like some sort of coon or something. And I'm like, okay, so no wonder, we always acted dumb. And then when it comes to movies, then the only roles a lot of times we were able to get was roles of doing drugs or doing something wrong and dumb, worldly corrupt, and representing, the word I hate to say, but, sex, just representing immorality, indecency, to be divided amongst each other, to call each other, the N-word, to disrespect each other, pretty much. And that's what we're painted as. We're painted as gangsters, thugs, and drug dealers, crackheads, hood rats, sluts, all these things. And I feel like that needs to change, because I see a slow, tiny change happening with us, with Black people, but I don't see it positive enough. I believe we really need a positive change and actually show ourselves like in more decent roles and more, leadership roles and more good roles for our youth. And that's not to say, it's not happening. I see it happening, but as you already know, or people who do know, the industry is corrupt anyways. They sell their souls, and people who get into that business, a lot of them have sold their souls. A lot of them have, did something wrong and to get there, sacrificed somebody, did all kinds of things we don't want to mention. And so a lot of them, of course, they're going to add their corruption, stupidity. They're going to be off with a lot of things and add their own gods and idols and things to lead, because even if they're your skin, Israel, they're sent there also to help lead you astray. And so a lot of people, a lot of Black people right now is believing in a lot of crazy stuff, multiple gods and all this, whatever you call it. I can't think of the word right now, but vibrations. Yeah, all this vibrations and believing yourself to be a god, connecting with trees, and that we're really the color blue or green, and I don't know, all this weird, creepy stuff. Watching too much of the Avatar, both of them, and watching too much Wakanda. That's what I think. And now we're in some weird warp, and I'm not saying me because I'm not included in that, but those of our color, in some weird warp that now we're just in a whole nother rabbit hole we got to get out of, that the devil duped them in. And hopefully they come to the truth. I see in some aspects, some of us are finding ourselves, but in the godly aspect, man, that's the main aspect that we need to really find, who God is and who we are. We used to know. But now we're following the Gentiles' idols, and we've lost ourselves. The Gentiles don't know God, but we do. But veering off a bit, what I'm trying to say is that's the only thing I can think of that made me have such a big self-hate like that. And I just want to say to Israel, be careful what you show your kids. And with me, I was a person as a young kid, and to me it doesn't seem like normal kids think that way. I didn't used to always be that kid, but it's when I reached, I can't remember, maybe 12, 13, 14, I can't remember. But anyways, it was around some age that I reached that I started to become so, I was already a little bit that way when I was younger, but I started to become so insecure over nothing. I had no reason to be. As in, not saying to be arrogant, but I'm saying I had no reason, in a sense of I was never taught to be that way. I was taught to be humble, yes, but not be arrogant, not be a show off, not to say, oh, I look good and stuff like that. And I still don't believe that way. But I was always taught to be grateful, to love who I am. That beauty is not what the world painted as beauty. Beauty is within the soul, and God makes everyone different. A variety of people. If everybody looked at the same, then how would there be a variety? So everybody's beautiful in their own way. So that's the way I was taught. And but as myself when I was younger, what I used to do was just amazingly stupid. I used to not look in the mirror at myself, people. I used to avoid mirrors. And it wasn't because I was scared, it was because, I don't know, I did not like the way I looked. I didn't like anything about myself at all. And I avoided it, and it's not, I don't even know how long, it seemed like years. I avoided looking at myself in the mirror, and I just didn't like myself at all. I would call myself ugly all the time. I would always say I hate myself, and there's nothing I love about myself. Recently, recent years, so just strange, I started to tell myself that I love myself. And the thing I'm struggling with, still is, just fully loving myself. And loving yourself is in many aspects. Loving yourself is appreciating what God made, as you are God's creation. And if you call yourself ugly, you call yourself, okay, you're not good enough, you're not like the world, you don't look this way or that way, or like this person. And what are you saying? That what God made is not beautiful? Because it is. beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you have to be grateful for yourself, or you're gonna end up like these weird, crazy people that putting too much freaking collagen into their lips until it's real swollen and big, and all the rest of the insanities they're doing because they're not satisfied, and so they just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until it becomes excessive. You don't want to become them. That's people that's not grateful, and yeah, they make themselves more uglier than, because to me, a lot of people look like pretty or just average, like you're fine, and then they just add all these things that they think they need, like face fillers and all this other things that I don't want to mention, and they make themselves look like a zootopia disaster, like a giant elephant in a zoo, something exotic like a zebra, I don't know, but they just add all these things to themselves until they don't look human anymore. So what I'm saying is, Israel, be grateful for yourself. So that's one way. And the second way is you got to fix yourself inside. Sometimes, or a lot of times, people don't love themselves. People get piercings and stuff like that. It's because you are not happy, and happiness comes with serving God. Happiness comes with getting your life together. People, engulf themselves with the world, so with parties, drinking, smoking, different things, and they forget, that these things aren't the things that's going to make them happy or satisfied. A lot of those things that they do is to drown out the fact that they feel miserable, to drown out the fact that they don't like themselves. They can't really live with their lives. And I'm saying, regardless of what happened in your life, because some people do these things because they lost somebody they cared about, and so now they abuse themselves. And I believe it is a sort of abuse, to yourself, by drinking, by partying, by just sleeping around with anybody. I'll just put it that way. Just letting anything happen to yourself. You gotta first love yourself. You gotta first respect yourself. You are someone of value, and that's what I'm gonna tell you, Israel. Each and every one of you, regardless of what you've done in your life, you can still be a good person. There's nobody stopping you. There's nothing. Your past cannot hold you. And again, I'm going to say it again. Your past cannot hold you. So you cannot blame anybody else or what anyone done to you in your past, or anything you chose to do, anything you felt in the past, rule you. You can't let these things rule you or control you. And you can't blame it either. You can't blame nobody and say, you're the reason why I feel this way. You're the reason why I'm like this and messed up today. No. You're the reason why. And if somebody did something to you, because I'm not trying to be insensitive, you shouldn't have. I'm not saying that. I'm not condoning anything evil, because some people went through different things. So you know what I mean. Like some people, maybe they got drugged. Maybe somebody snuck something inside somebody's drug. Somebody got raped. Different things happen to people that, we know happens. And I'm saying, you can't stay stuck though. You can't stay stagnant in these things, because you'll get lost in your past. You'll get lost in wanting people to feel sorry for you, that you forget you got to get over this. You got to live your life. You can't base your life off of just around this one thing that happened. That's not what you were meant. This happened, and you have to accept accountability. And I know it's so difficult, but you got to accept accountability that whatever happened to you in your life was for a purpose and for a reason. And there's one or two options you have with it. Is whether you're going to let it break you, or you're going to let it make you. And you should let it mold you into a better person. It don't matter what it was. It could be rape. It could be anything. You let it mold you to be a better person. And maybe, instead of what parents do, they grow up to be parents, they have children, and they let these things happen to their children because it happened to me and my children are not going to be better than me. Just stupid. If it happened to you, maybe it was for the purpose of something was going to happen to your child and your life, and you need to be there to protect and watch. So if you don't want this to happen to your children, then you protect and watch. But don't let it, shape you. Don't let it make you into the criminal that you hated. Because that's what a lot of people do. The death of their family member. Somebody was a gangster. Somebody did something wrong that they didn't like, and then they become these people. They become the murderer. They become the gangster. They become the rapist. They become, and I'm just saying, the drug dealer, whatever it is. And I'm just saying, don't let these things rule you. And I gotta shorten this up because it's so hot where I am right now. But Israel, don't let it define you. And there's one thing that I would say is a bit personal, but it's coming to my mind to say it, so I'm going to say it in this topic since we're on it. When it comes to rape, and it comes to anybody and especially a man, let's say you went to prison or anything happened to you, you got raped or something by another male. It doesn't make you not a man. It doesn't make you where you can't go straight. It doesn't make you where you have to be like Sodom and Gomorrah. You don't have to choose these things. You can choose to be straight. You can choose to do what's right. And even if you chose to not be at a point, turn back around and do what God says. Because if you don't, you're going to be destroyed just like those people before. Because in my dream, those brimstones I had a dream about, they're going to actually truthfully come down. And just like they, struck certain people like Sodom and Gomorrah before, they're going to strike them again. So if you got that mentality of Sodom and Gomorrah, you're going to be destroyed. So I'm just saying to Israel, don't, okay? What I'm saying, Israel, you got to move on with your life. Stop staying stuck in the past. Stop wanting people to feel sorry for you. Stop telling your sad stories so, people could feel bad. I can understand if you're using that as an example. So like what I'm telling about my self-hate is for example. It's not literally nothing happened to me to make me have self-hate. I believe it was just embedded there. And I believe a lot of black people have that somewhere in them. Because I believe it's some sort of slave mentality. And that's why, blacks turned against each other, light and dark. The dark ones against the lights against the darks, when we're all the same. And how the lights are, put out of groups and darks are put out of groups. Like, oh, you're not black. Oh, you're not, because of this mentality. And it's just embedded in you. And it's so crazy because that was years ago, the slavery, but that carried on within you. And that's what the whole devil's plot was, just to mess us up generations down the line. And if you don't know the thing, TV and everything else has been planted inside of the cartoons and everything else to make you self-hate, to make you feel indifferent, like, oh, I'm not black when you are, to make you feel like, oh, since I'm light I'm not accepted, but you are. You should be, because you're black too. And because blackness is not only thing what matters is your spirit. And being Israel, and being Israel is being God's chosen. Being God's chosen is to be a believer. So in other words, I'm just saying, Israel, be together. Don't be divided. Don't hate yourself, and don't be bitter. If there's anybody you need to forgive, even if you have the same situation that I dreamed about, that's not a literal situation, but anything that I dreamed about maybe could help someone else. So if someone left you in your life, if someone you cared about, a spouse, anybody, forgive and overlook. Let it go. That person's not more important than your salvation. So Israel, I'm gonna wrap it up. Hope everyone has a blessed day. It is hot, so hot, and I'm hoping that there's something good waiting on us. Love you guys. Peace.